setting up a points-based JetNet gradebook. This is a quick start guide to help you do this really quickly. First of all, percentage-based versus points-based. Point-based aggregation methods or grading systems are most common in classes that rely on projects and papers and things like that for grades. Percentage-based systems, on the other hand, are more common in classes that rely most heavily on quizzes and exams. This is not a hard and fast rule. You can use either system in either type of class. You could even mix the two schemes, points and percentages, but I don't recommend that. I really think it's best as a way to make the gradebook more understandable to students to choose one aggregation method, one system, either points or percentages, and stick to that for the entire class. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly set up a gradebook using a points-based system. So here we are at the JetNet homepage. You should recognize this. I'm going to go to my courses and I'm going to choose the course that I'm working in. There are a couple of ways to get to your gradebook. You can click here on the sandwich menu and hit grades, or you can click on the course management and then click on gradebook. Either works. Notice the two menus. This menu is standard. This menu changes. It's contextualized based on the choice that you make up here. So what we're going to do to set up the gradebook is we're going to click on Setup. Now, in the gradebook, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the aggregation method for the root folder. So when you have an empty JetNet shell, you don't have any grades in there at all. You don't have any categories. You do have this one, which is the root category or root folder. Check it out here. Edit Settings. Aggregation method. The default is simple weighted mean of grades. Anything weighted mean of grades is a percentage-based system. The points-based system to use is this one right here, natural. Natural is the points-based system. So now hit Save Changes. Now you may notice that now your gradebook total is 0. That's because you have no grade items in the gradebook. Before it was at 100 because it was assuming a percentage-based system. So now what we want to do is we want to add a grade item. So grade item, let's just call it project 1. Here we need to insert the maximum grade possible. So the project 1 in my imaginary course is a relatively simple project. It's not worth a whole lot. Now this is important because it's best, I think, in a points-based system to use the maximum grade as a way to weight the gradebook. Now in a percentage-based system, it's quite common to artificially weight each item or perhaps group your items in categories and then weight them. In a percentage-based system, that's fine. But in a points-based system, it makes much more sense to use a natural weighting by changing this maximum grade to make a grade more or less of the total grade. So if this project is a small portion of the grade, I wouldn't want to make it worth 100 points. I might make it worth only 20 points. So I put in 20 as my maximum grade. Now I hit Save Changes. So right now you'll see that I have my root folder here. I have my project 1 grade item. That's where I can put a grade into. And it is 20 points. Now, do you see this 100 here? This 100 tells you that the natural weighting for project 1 is 100% of the grade. Why is that? Because there is only one grade item. Let's see what happens if I add another grade item. Now this grade item, let's say this is a portfolio, which is the end of the class. This is like the final exam. This is where students gather everything. I'm going to make the portfolio worth 200 points. It is the thing in my class that should determine, it helps me assess the students the best. This is where the most points are because this is the most work and the thing that I think is the best, highest stakes evaluation method. So 200 points, I hit Save Changes. Now look here. My project 1, remember, it used to be 100% of the grade. Now it's only 9% of the grade, whereas my portfolio is 90%, which is the difference between 200 points and 20 points. So hopefully by this you can see that your grade items, by modifying the maximum grade, we modify how much of that item contributes to the final grade. And you notice here, the course total shows up, and that just keeps adding up and adding up. All right, if you want to, you can create categories. This can be useful if you want to group like items together. For example, we might put all of our projects together. I'm going to go again, my aggregation method will be natural because it is a points-based system. I hit Save Changes. So now I have a projects folder, but right now there's nothing in it. In order to put something in it, I might want to do this. I'm going to select project 1, makes sense, it's a project. I'm going to choose right here, move selected items, choose to projects. And now you can see that I have a projects folder and I have a project. What's this 100? This tells you that this grade item represents 100% of the projects folder. But notice that the projects folder together is only 9% and this portfolio remains at 90%. Now in a percentage-based system, we might want to artificially weight the folder, but again, in a points-based system, which we're working on now, I don't think that's a good idea. I really think that you should leave the weights as they are because that shows you its natural weighting. Modify the maximum grade for each item in order to have larger items, more important items, make up more of the grade. So this has been a quick start guide for creating a points-based aggregation method. As always, if you have questions, contact me.